Hello and welcome to the Road to Worlds Regional Rundown. This is week number 11. I'm your host, Daniel Madison. With me, as always, is my co-host, Greg Dillon. How's it going, Greg?
I'm going good, thank you.
All right, and our guest this week is KillerB on the forums. He is, of course, the host of the Discard Pile. John Corbett is here with us this week. How's it going, John?
Now, some people would say that, John, 3 podcasts in 10 days is a little much. And to those people, I would say you're right, but go to hell, because every hour I spend doing a nerd podcast, I'm not out gambling and hanging out with loose women. So maybe this is saving my life. You don't know, okay? Don't judge me.
Fair enough. Well, it's nice to finally get you on here. I didn't have you on the other show yet, but I haven't been doing the other one. So,
Well, you couldn't have me on this show because you have Chris on every week, and we have the nemesis icons. We're not allowed to occupy the same location, or one of us has to disappear at the end of the turn. I'm pretty sure is that what it does? It's been a while since I played 1E.
Yeah, I think that's right. You know, even in 1E, that almost never comes up. But yeah. But anyway, so we're going to be looking at regional events from the previous week, and looking ahead to events happening this weekend, making a few predictions, and you know the drill. John, you've already had your regional, right?
Yeah, we had a Texas regional. I ran about it. I ran about it in detail on one of the Discord files.
I don't think I saw that one. I think the last one I saw was the TK episode, actually.
Yeah, we don't need to rehash what happened at the Texas regional. We're just gonna let that. We're gonna forget like that ever happened. Kind of like Enterprise, the first 3 seasons.
Yeah, that's about right. Okay. That's kind of how I'm thinking about my regionals too. Like, yeah, just forget they ever happened. Yeah.
Oh, not because I sucked and went 1 and 2. I don't care about that. I played like shit. It don't really matter. But it was player behavior for reasons why we're gonna forget about it.
Right. Oh, you know, I do remember now, because I think that was now that I think about it, I think that was the same week, because I remember you and TK were discussing it on your episode. So, all right, yeah, we'll let that go. We'll take a quick look at the events that did happen this past weekend. We had Greg. Should we get to you first or last? How do you want to do this?
Do Minnesota.
No, we can
do Minnesota last, because I got a whole spiel on Minnesota. So just do that one last. Whatever you do.
We do mine.
All right. So let's we'll start with Greg, because I know he wants to rub it in all our faces. The Queensland 2E regional drew 4 players. This was a 2E standard event, and 4 players. And Greg, you were the winner. Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, I tried to tell you this last week. There was only 2 ways this could have gone. And yeah, the problem was Ben brought a new deck, wasn't tested, so that didn't work. The thing I was mostly worried about actually was my father's deck, because I helped him practice it like 4 times.
Is Gary your father?
Yeah, Gary. He's on deck.
Gary's your father, Ben's your brother.
Yeah. And yeah, so in playtesting, he beat me, like 4 out of 4 he beat me. So I was really worried going into it, but I mean, I just actually paid attention in the game and smashed him with dilemmas, like picked out skill holes and stuff. And then won with relativity. I basically up the tournament, like, I absolutely agree with Chris on relativity. Like, you gotta go small. The big decks with the shitty temporal events just don't work.
No, I agree. The smaller you can get that deck, the more streamlined it's gonna run. It really gets you out of the gate quickly. Get you attempting missions very early. I totally agree with that. It's nice to see relativity get a win here after so many times finishing second. So yeah, congratulations there. Gary was running Klingon. So what was Ben running? because his deck wasn't listed when I
He
looked.
made it was a DS9 Khan deck. So it was basically Marco team with like Khan, the Khan Peeps, Worf, and Kai Parker
Okay,
in the Gamma Quadrant.
all right. Well, the buy situation on your end is a little tricky because you already have one because you were runner up at nationals. Uh, Gary already has one because he won nationals. So Ben is actually getting the buy for this event handed down to him.
That's no good.
I looked.
This ain't awful. He doesn't deserve the bar.
So all of the Dylans have buys for Continentals. So you guys so by the time you guys actually have Continentals, pretty much the whole continent's gonna sit out the first round, right? Just the whole round's gonna be
Nah,
relevant.
it's usually not bad. We get usually 2 from Sydney, 1 from Perth, 1 from Brisbane. But the Nationals, I guess, bump that up. So we'll have like 6 out of 20 people.
Okay, all right. So they do matter. It just seems like a lot of
Nah,
buys going around over there.
they really help, especially this year. It's going to be way more contested in the Continentals without the Clarks there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. We are. We will probably be doing some shows in July. We're still working out the details on that, but we'll probably be doing some July shows where we'll be previewing each Continentals event as they get close, and probably get some kind of World show in as well. But we're still working out the details on that, but we'll let you guys know as they get closer. Well, congratulations again. We're gonna move on. There were a couple of events in Europe.
I got.
Sorry, John.
What am I, chopped liver? I spent 7.5 minutes preparing for the show. You know, I'm ready. I got everything. Now,
You got to tell Greg something. What?
yeah. Well, I can't give Greg credit for just beating up on his whole family. I mean, I could run a tournament in my house and smack down a bunch of Corbetts. But but what I can give him credit for is I took a look at the deck. It's a tight relativity deck with no Chakotay's, so that's major props for not being a whore.
Sure.
But the thing now, you have debate over dinner. Is that in there for defense? Is that what that's in there for?
Yeah, that is purely because Dan got beat by Phoenix. Phoenix.
That's what I thought. I looked
Yeah.
at the deck list. I'm like, what the hell does he have that in there for? He only has one Kassoon Dilemma. Then I realized it's for defense, and then that's a hell of a player move right there. So I mean, it's a shame that you had to beat up on your old man to do it, but it was a good solid deck.
I was actually really surprised when I was looking through the relativity second place is that no one used both Original Thinker and Living Legend. Because you get two free dilemmas, and then you have Living Legend every turn for Rope or Gambush, the 8 cost dilemmas, GOM2. Living Legend's great, by the way.
Yeah, I think I've run a deck that ran both of them once. I didn't run it at regionals, but that's always something I consider when I build relativity. It's nice to do that. You use OT Kirk and pitch him as you need to, and then you keep one Living Legend in there, and it's something that you use his ability to overcome a dilemma, and he dies, and you can get him back. That's great. He was going to die anyway, so I don't know. I think it's not as diverse as OT Kirk. When the couple times I've run it, I found that he never really came into play. I was not getting the right kinds of dilemmas that I would have needed him for.
Well, the problem I had in testing is because they're all sciencey people, they suck at diplomacy. Like I got hit by GOM2 just a ton of times in my first mission. So he helps you with that. Where no one gone before isn't as much of a problem, but if they put a proper filter in front of it, he can save you an entire turn against that as well. And the A-costers, mainly. I was really worried about the A-costers. I didn't know what Ben was playing, and I just didn't want to lose 3 people a turn.
Yeah. John, you got anything else before I move on? I want to make sure here.
No, I'm ready for Germany. Go ahead.
All right. We'll talk about Germany. So we had 2 events there. These were the ones that Johannes was running, and he won them both. They ran 2E and triples. They had 4 players for each, and he was the winner of both events. For 2E, I didn't get a chance to look at his deck list, but it's showing up as TNG/DS9. Did you take a look at the deck for this, Greg?
Yeah, I did. It's extremely similar to Kevin Yeager's deck that he ran with a few weeks ago. Basically, but without bustling was like the main difference, I think. Just using TNG, DS9, Peeps, preposterous plan with Guinan and Jaroshinho.
Yeah, that combination of headquarters sounded like something that we'd seen already. And looks like the other decks in the field, there was a board deck that came in second place. Relativity only managed third this time. The board player he's just listed as Surwee. I don't know if that's his name or if that's just his handle. He actually will get the bye for the 2E event because Johannes won British Nationals, so that'll get handed down. Germany?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I thought this was an original deck. I didn't know it was played before because the three preposterous plans was interesting. This is a fairly benign dual HQ deck, so it's a rare bird. Usually, dual HQ leads to something cheesy, which we'll get to in the next regional. But and it had splashed in the Patrolling Defiant to mess with your opponent a little bit. But what was more interesting was that in both of the small regionals and the 4-person regionals, both decks were small, 45, and both had standard attrition piles. And that's usually the way you want to go. If you know your regionals are going to be 4 or 5 players, you want to go with something fast and tight. You don't want to go with, because there's less chance of running into, some nonsense tier 1, like super shitty decks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, Johannes won triples as well. And he did not have a head start for that 4 triples yet, so he will earn that. So 2 for 2 this weekend for Johannes, so congratulations to him. Yeah, all we got left is events in Minnesota, and John wants to talk about those, so we're gonna get right into those. They ran all 3 events in Minnesota. They had a pretty decent turnout in all 3 of them. We're going to start with the second edition, where they drew 13 players, and the winner was, once again, Kevin Yeager.
That's 2 regional wins with 2 dual HQ decks, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, this time he was running Klingon and Kronos and Romulus as his two headquarters.
Yeah, I had a look. It was really large. It seemed to be a battle deck with all-out war to just slaughter your opponent, and then recur with Jadzia, get the points with the Romulan events.
So I'll begin with this one. Yeah. So basically, you start with dual HQ, and then the dilemma pile is all-consuming evil with no tragic turn, which I've noticed is the Wastelander style up there. They love all-consuming evil, but they don't like the tragic turn to go with it. That's what All Out War, I guess, does, and that finishes them off, gets your extra kills. It's a Kemtar deck, so it's a download deck. So I mean, you're not going to get any respect. It's just the next Klingon download that hasn't been errated yet. So you got dual HQ, you got Kemtar, you got all-consuming evil, you have 8 legendary civilization. Basically, you got all the cheap shit. So this, I mean, I don't blame Kevin for playing it, But it's a chicken shit deck. It's got all the nonsense in it. It's just got all the stuff. And I don't know how you get away. I'm surprised you get away with a dual HQ in Minnesota in a 13-player field. They just don't care about it. They don't play any of the anti-dual HQ cards. And, I mean, I don't know. Going into Continentals, knowing that, this silly shit, it makes me feel that the chances for a fly-in player, because you're not going to get away with this horse shit when in a Continentals level event. All that it's just nonsense. So I don't know. Someone said Kevin put the odds at 5-1 a fly-in winning. So that's easy money. I'm going to go down the board. So the next one, second, was Matt Freed with a 37-card TNG Integrity deck. So
Yep.
The phrase "you can't teach an old dog new tricks," apparently that's true. That deck is straight out of 2006. Let's go down the next board. It was just a boring deck. It's like, I think that's what he played against me at Worlds in the final back then. I think that's the exact same deck. Down the board, Harrington, a disappointing 6. And he played, I give him credit for playing a board speed deck. He gave it a go. But he also played the all-consuming evil with no tragic turn. So you're not going to get enough damage done. You're not going to slow him down enough with your board speed. And even shocking, your buddy, Sostaby, now I have a feeling he played his B deck. He didn't save in the good deck for.
Well, actually, Sostaby sat out the almost the whole event. It looks like he jumped in the last round.
Is it what the hell? That's some goofy shit. Well, he played kind of the same thing. He took an old Klingon Riker, Alien Probe, Rescue Prisoners, Brute Force. That's also that's a time capsule deck.
Yeah, I remember him saying that he was probably going to sit out the event. I don't know why he jumped in the last round. Maybe it looks like somebody dropped.
Yeah.
It looks like somebody dropped in the last round. So he played just to avoid a bye.
So he's still, the sad part, I guess the moral of the story is he's still carrying around a Klingon Riker deck from 2007. I guess you just do that in Minnesota. You just always reliving the glory days. They just love old shit. They just can't let some things go.
Yeah, he does still bust that out from time to time. But you're right. I was really surprised. Like you go down this whole list. There's no dual HQ except the one that won.
Yeah, but I didn't go through all the deck lists, but I don't think there's anybody. Probably nobody played the double turn mission for dual HQ. I seriously doubt anyone played it Children of Time. I mean, that's something you might splash in at a big event. If you have non-aligns in the deck. I'm just shocked that you can get away with it so easily, dual HQ.
Yeah, and Yeah, and this isn't a continental event; it's a regional. But this is, if you look at the list of players here, these are the caliber of players that this event would play like a continental. You've got it was champions.
Last week on your show, it was just world champions. We're gonna have all these world champions at our tournament, and all I see silly decks from 2007, and the deck that wins is a Kemtar download a dual, just the worst chicken shit deck I could see. So I don't see nothing. I go into Minnesota in July. I go with no fear. I'm not worried about any of the Wastelanders that are there. I'm worried about anybody else who might come in. It's a tough way to say it, but this tournament makes me lose respect for the Minnesota meta. I think it hasn't caught up with everybody else. It's in the past still. It's living in the past. So most of the players are still living, 8 years in the past, and Jaeger's deck is 2 or 3 years in the past. These people need to catch up and get with the times.
I think they came to play a regional though. Like I think most of them except Kevin just came to race, and they all just raced each other, and Kevin smashed them.
Well, Kevin, that's not a race deck. Klingon all-consuming.
Yeah, no, exactly. Everyone else was racing. Kevin was just there.
Minnesota. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't blame Kevin for playing the deck, because that's what Minnesota. Even that's what Sykes texted me. He's like, "Oh, there's Minnesota guys. They love fast, tight speed decks." And then Kevin came with the boomstick. So it's Minnesota. It's the Minnesota players' fault for being so goddamn predictable. They just do the same shit all the time. And then you can't win with that anymore. Yeah, they won world championships. Yeah, years ago. I mean, only Harrington can keep up with the times. The rest of them, they're all old. They're out to pasture. And in Texas, we take the dog behind the old woodshed and put them out of their misery.
Well, like you said, Continentals is going to be there next month, so we'll see what they end up bringing, and
And I got a problem with the passive aggressive, not you guys, my arch nemesis, who was like, oh well, we're happy to see what they come and see what they can do. Oh, how nice. We're gonna come. Yeah, I'm spending hundreds of dollars and coming to goddamn Minnesota. No one wants to go to friggin' Minnesota. I'm not coming to see what I can do. I'm coming to put the pain on you, man. Just the arrogance and ego in that passive aggressive statement. Ooh, it got me good.
let's give him a minute to stew.
You'll see what you're gonna see what I can do in July. That's all I'm saying. You'll see. Probably go 1, 2, and 6. But anyway, go ahead.
Well. Anyway, before I move on, again, since we discussed relativity, that actually came in fourth. There were a couple of relativity decks in the environment, but yeah, they're speed decks in a field full of speed decks, and I think that might have caused them to suffer. Looking at the buy situation, like we said already, Kevin already has a regional win, so the bye will get handed down. Because there were 13 players at this event, the bye will go to 2 players. So the bye winners for this event are Matthew Freed in second place and Steve Nelson in third place. So congratulations to everybody in the top 3. Take a quick look at Tribbles. They had 9 players for Tribbles. The winner of this event was Justin Kaufman.
Every time someone says Tribbles, man, I get a massive erection. Let me tell you. Every time I hear Tribbles, oh.
I don't need to dwell too much on Tribbles decks, but I'm still going to acknowledge the winners because they're still regionals. So Justin got the win there, so congratulations to him. So finishing off, they played 1E the next day. They played an OTF event, and they had 10 players. Once again, Kevin Yeager came out on top.
Did he play dual HQ in the Tribbles? Fuck. I didn't know he could do that.
1E.
Oh, he did play dual HQ in that. Yeah, that I saw too.
He did play dual affiliation, yes.
Fuck it, he probably played dual HQ in Tribbles too. Can you download shit in Tribbles? I don't know.
He found a way, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
No, he was running a capture deck. It was Cardassian Dominion. As I say every week, the 1E deck it's been talked about and in detail over on Lucas Thompson's article series. So after you're done listening to this, if you haven't already seen it, go check out that article. He talks about that deck in great detail, and he's got commentary from Kevin on there. I think my pick for this was James Heaney, and he came in second place, running some sort of Fed deck because I don't have the tournament open.
Yeah, it was a Fed deck. It wasn't TNG DS9. It was like OS. He had OS Klingons in there as well. And he was using temporal shifting for draws, which is really good because you can use it to discard your opponent's hand as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting engine.
This tournament is pretty much just a duplicate of the 2E where everyone came to race. You got Federation TNG decks, James Heaney Solver, and Romulan TNG decks, and Kevin Yeager just beat them with capture.
Yeah, I see a lot of TNG, a lot of Federation on the field.
Kevin didn't play James, and he played against 4 TNG decks, 2 Romulan, 2 Fed, and yeah, pretty much in his tournament report he mentioned like second turn he was over there just capturing them straight up, like on the second turn, and then they couldn't do anything about it.
John, you don't play 1E, do you?
No, I've been retired since the day 2E came out. I mean, I still have, I can see my 1E cards right now on a shelf, and they're still in old binders from like 1996. The binders are falling apart, and stuff's just all stuffed in there. And I don't think I have the boxes of, I have a box of just cheese. I call it the box of 1E cheese with Q's 10s. all the stuff I used to love to abuse. Barclay's Transportophobia, Hughes Tense, Dino and Self, just all the horse shit, chicken shit stuff I used to do back in the day to people. So, but I can't dust them off yet. I'm not ready. I don't have it in me.
I can think of a few people that occasionally will find cards like that. You know, you don't see that kind of stuff all the time, tricks like that, but every once in a while, someone will grab one of those cards and like totally abuse it. Like there was one event where I heard about Borg players were getting abused with loss of orbital stability.
I used to do it with Dino and Self. I used to
Yeah.
clown them when you hit the probe and make them go away. My
the problem is with the interference interrupts, they only work when it's like a medical. You got to rotate them in and out when people aren't ready for them. Like lots of the orbital stability and Dino Self.
The worst thing I used to do at 1E back in with the day was the Barclay's Transportophobia and the Trellian Plague Ship. So every time they try to beam the medical over, you zap them and then they get scared and they can't beam over. And I'm playing this guy in Baltimore, and he's a big dude. He's like 6'4", and he's just a casual player. And I played like 3 of them, and he's just sitting there and he starts turning beet red. And he's just so angry, and I'm like, I think this dude's gonna hit me. Shit, like I don't know what to. So that dude was not. I don't think, and we never saw that guy again. So I guess it's my. I was an MPE at 1E. I was not a good guy.
Yeah, well.
So you're the fella that would bring Rogue Borg to every tournament?
No, I bring the Kova Thol, die 10 times to get 100 points. That's the kind of shit I would love to do. I'm reminiscent. You put me in a time machine. It's all starting to come back to me now.
Somebody did that. Somebody did that in the Cool tournament at Gen Con last year. They built a deck where they were trying to clone Kova Thal like as many times as possible and then get them all killed.
Yep. Yeah. Back before there was the intermix ratio or whatever it was called, and all sorts of bad stuff.
Prevented the bonus point shit.
Yeah. Kova Thal times 10 that's for winners right there.
Yeah. Well, it's an open tournament, and not everybody brings the ref cards. Everyone's building their own silly deck, and I remember that was David Bowling's son that was playing that deck at Gen Con last year, and he played it with 10 space missions and 8 clone colony, and he played against his father. He played against David, and David had a different cool deck, but it had 12 space missions. So when they played each other, they had a line of 22 space missions in one planet. I remember getting a picture of that because that was just one of those strange things that happens, like only in 1E.
Yeah, if you ever you would take a look at the table after you were done a 1E game and just look at it and try to imagine somebody else who doesn't know what you're doing looking at that and just looks like just a big. It's ridiculous, really. It's like watching Australian rules football. You're looking at it, and you don't know. It's just fucking chaos, and you don't know what's going on, and people are getting murdered, and it's silliness.
My biggest issue with 1E tournaments is trying to set my deck back up after a round ends, having to clean that all back up and remember, which of these was in the Q's tent and which of these was in the seed deck, and as soon as the round ends, I look at this big pile of cards all over the table, and I'm like, oh god.
What's the longest 1E tournament you've ever played in? How many rounds?
I don't think I've played in one that's more than 4, because
I can't describe the pain. Like if you play 4 rounds of 1E, you have a headache, like a legitimate, full-blown headache. You can't every time.
Because I didn't play 1E I played some side events, but I didn't play 1E Continentals at Gen Con because I made Day 2 and 2E, and they were running simultaneously.
But back in the day, back in the world, I think the CypherCon 2002 was like 6 rounds. It might have been 8. I don't know. But, man, the pain, afterwards, you just, the daggers in the eyeball, it was just, I could never do that again. Oh, man, I'm too old for that shit. I'm like Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon, man. I'm too old for this shit. I can't do it anymore.
Not only that, but especially if I had played at Gen Con. I think Gen Con was just 5 rounds. I think it went to don't remember. I think it was 5 rounds plus a final, um, and I just remember hearing horror stories about how many people came bringing Borg decks, and just some people had to play against Borg 3 times or 4 times, and like I think if I had sat through 5 rounds of trying to maneuver against Borg decks, I think I would have killed myself.
All the years I played 2E since the beginning, since 1994, all the way to the end, and I never once played a board deck. I could never get past the simple fact that there's an affiliation that plays by an entire set of different set of fucking rules than the rest of the game. It makes just no goddamn sense. I don't know. You had to be smoking something when they came up with that. Let's make an affiliation. It's just a whole new set of fucking rules and just nothing like the rest of the game. I'm like,
it's cool, but it's so hard to learn all that. And
I never dug it. I never liked it, and it was just like a boycott, a personal boycott. I'm like, I'm never gonna fucking do this. Fuck.
Nah, I love Borg because same reason you play the interrupts. I come with Borg, and no one knows what I'm doing. I just tell them, trust me. I'm not actually cheating. I mean, it seems like I'm cheating, but I'm not.
See,
actually
that's a bad thing when you have to tell people. Like, no, this is legal. I swear. That's a design fail. When someone goes, I don't. Are you doing something that's wrong? Like, are you allowed to do that? Like, yeah, you're playing 2 different games. That's fucking ridiculous. That you're playing somebody and you're not playing the same game. So,
yeah, some people describe it as playing solitaire. Like, all right, you just do your stuff, and I'll take your word for it that you know what you're doing, and I'll wait till you're done, and then I'll take my turn.
That was the beauty of 1E, though, is that you had more interaction. That's why I love Blood Oath. Blood Oath was my favorite deck to play, and it was just, it was just more interaction in 1E. You had more just, fucking with your opponent and stuff like that. But, this talk has been great. It's been nice going in the time machine, but I'm still not playing 1E anytime soon. I don't. Not gonna happen.
All right. Well, that did cover all of our events for this past weekend. So just finishing up with Minnesota. Yeah, congrats to Kevin. He did win both 1E and 2E. So let's take a look at what's going on this weekend, Week 11. Just a couple of events to talk about. Not a whole lot. Got my notes here. All right, so we've got 2 events in Australia. These are in Western Australia. In the region is Deep Space Station K7, and there's a 2E standard and a tribbles event. And you're gonna have to help me out on this one, Greg, because when I looked at the events, they both had only the TD pre-registered. So, as I say many times, like I don't really know these play groups. You know them better than I do, so I don't know who's going to be there. Or
yeah, this is the one where a few weeks ago they had their 1E that didn't happen because they didn't have enough people. So, this play group has only had 4 players for 5 years now, and I think maybe at least one of them is getting a little bored, so they're struggling to make tournaments. However, they're all more 2E players than 1E, so I'm hoping this one will go ahead. And they've got, like you said, the TD Matthias. Other contenders would be Rob Dawson, Matthew Townsend, and Daniel Hyde. Though Daniel Hyde has never won a tournament, so I wouldn't pick him to win. I like Daniel Hyde. He's a fun guy, though.
Is this one of those? Is this one of those that we might take the Chris route and say that put your money on it, not firing?
Yeah, well,
let's
it's a 50-50.
Let's have more faith in our director of organized play, though it is a bad omen when the director of worldwide organized play is having trouble in his own meta. But it doesn't help. When you only have 3 guys coming, don't have a convoluted entry fee. I don't know. I looked at it today. It was like X minus stuff, and it's like Matthias. God bless him. He's a good guy, and he's brave for coming on the discard pile and battling me. But it's almost like you try to do a little too much. Just be like, hey man, show up, give me $5, and play. Bring him. It's just you don't gotta be. Sometimes you can over organize. I think I used this quote on a discard pile. It was the quote is, an incongruent grandeur of plan is almost equivalent to no plan at all, which means, and that's from the Russian Civil War. Sorry about that, but So the meaning is, if your plan's too much, if you try to do too much, sometimes things fall apart. So I don't know. I'm gonna take Dawson. I hope he still plays. I don't know why, but I'm not picking Matthias. I'm going Dawson.
Rob. I'm gonna pick Rob to win as well. He's got a winning record against everyone else in his group. So yeah, I mean, if he keeps that going, he should win the tournament. But like you said, that is what you said is exactly that's Matthias. He pretty much always tries to do too much.
Yeah. Well, just to be different, I'll go ahead and say Matthias, and that'll be my pick, just to have a little variety among the three of us.
Dawson's Creek, Australia, buddy. You wouldn't last a day on the Creek Pie, fucker. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Jay and Silent Bob movies are always right there in my head. It's a Jersey thing.
All right. For Tribbles, I'll go ahead and throw a name out there. I'll go ahead and say Dawson for this one. Just
Matthias will win Tribbles. He always plays rescue, discard rescue, and go, and no one ever tries to beat him. He'll win, Matthias.
He didn't win in 2012.
He'll win.
I'm gonna go Dawson's Creek too. Unless James Vanderbeek shows up and whoops his ass. I mean, what else against Tribbles? I don't know. Pick a name out of a hat. I don't know what Tribbles is. It's not upset because the problem. I'll tell you why, real quick. The problem is that Gen Con or other stuff like, we gotta end this tournament because I want to get Tribbles in on time. And I never played Tribbles. I probably would love Tribbles. I'm sure I would. But it was everybody else like, we got it. This is good. It's awesome. It's great, and we gotta get this done so we can play. Like, just don't. Like, I don't. It was treated like a real game too much, and it's just it got too hot too fast, and everyone was like, and it started cutting into my fucking time and just fucking me up. So I don't know. I really don't want to hate Tribbles. I don't hate Tribbles. I just hate everyone telling me about Tribbles.
Yeah, that's right. No, I reckon Tribbles, you got to use it just as a time filler. You don't schedule tournaments like 2 ends. There's an hour before you want to go get food. Play Tribbles. That's how you do Tribbles.
Holy shit, Greg! How come on the message boards you say the silliest shit, and I never agreed with a thing. I never agreed with a thing you said. Yet I come on the show and you say something that makes perfect goddamn sense. What's going on? Why do you turn into a troll on the message boards? I don't get it.
I think a lot of people just turn into trolls on the message boards.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think when you're not talking directly to somebody, you have a little more confidence in what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of like when I text girls. Well, before back in Jersey, I would say some of the most decrepit, like dirty things to a girl through a text. I would never have the balls to say in person, like, "Hey, come over and finish me off." Silly stuff like that. So. Like, I would never have the balls to tell a girl to come over and give me a blowjob, but on a text message, sure, why not? They can't, so it's a little bit of that dynamic. People have like beer muscles and message boards. It's easy to say stuff when you don't got to look them in the eye.
Yeah.
On top of that, I also have a problem, right now, I can tell when John isn't being fully serious. On the board, so it's so hard when you're typing shit, when are you fully serious and when are you talking crap? It's just confusing.
Well, sometimes it's a little bit of both. I mean,
that's another problem.
It's been rough lately. Because it's been a little. We have two heated debates going on, and one's not even a debate. One was just like a public taking a temperature of the public. So that just shows how bad this job. This is the first time I tried to do something proactive as the errata czar, and all I was doing, I don't have a dog in the fight. I didn't give a shit. And we're talking about removing the Earth icon from TOS personnel. And I was just trying to gauge the temperature of the community, and it turned into another shit fest. And people get so I'm like, we're just fucking, hey, maybe something, hey, how do you feel about this? And people just fucking lose their fucking minds. I don't get that. And Matthias, bless his heart, he talked to a bunch of people and he set up a thing because he's got, there's a problem, North America, blah blah blah. So here he is doing something, and then people lose their fucking minds. It's just. Being proactive is good. All this the committee used to do is react to fucking problems when shit would go bad, and then they react to it, and then people gave them a hard time. In the last 5 years, the committee's been proactive, doing things, and people lose their fucking minds. So People just gotta fucking chill the fuck out, man. It's just a Star Trek card game. And go ahead. I'm done hijacking your show. Go ahead, dude. I'm not sorry.
All right. All right, let's move on. We've got 2 more events to talk about, and these are in the Ryza region. These are San Diego, California events. They are running first edition this weekend, followed by Tribbles, and I don't know. There are not a lot of players pre-registered for these events. I heard Dan and Charlie were talking about them on Section 31 earlier this week. There's not a lot of players pre-registered. It really depends on who shows up, who's going to be there, and who's really focused on winning it. And Charlie said it was debatable that he might not even play. I talked about this the last time.
I'm the chairman. I'm Charlie. Sometimes I'm happy. Sometimes I'm sad. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I talked about this. I talked about this the last time they had a regional. When they had their 2E. That their player base has been somewhat inconsistent. Charlie seems like he'd been pretty bogged down the last few months, and now he's working. His time is limited. So okay, I understand that.
Hey, you're guilty of that shit on the boards, talking about your about the announcement about the new tournaments. I don't want to hear anybody. Everyone's got a life.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I used to have. Speaking of the 1E, we used to have this guy. And he was when we first started getting tournaments back in like 1999, 2000, and his name was Tom King. And then me, and then Len Nydorf he's up in Boston playing up there with those guys. When we started showing up to tournaments and we started winning. And he was like the top dog of like their 5-person group. And we showed up and we started smashing them. And then it turned into, oh, well, I have a job, I have a girlfriend. It's like, people automatically resort to like that. Like, you just can't lose. You lost because someone beat you. You didn't, like, you can't go to a tournament because, you got to stay home, you got to do some shit. I don't know why people get so... Like, that's a thing. Like, no one else here. Like, the average median age of a Trek player is probably in his mid-30s now. So the life and job stuff, it's like, come on. Yeah, we're all in that boat.
Oh yeah. But anyway, like, I'm looking at who's pre-registered so far, and Johnny's generally a pretty good bet. But it's. Thomas Weinberg is a pretty good bet if he's going to be there, but he's not pre-registered. Also, it's going to depend on whether Thomas Kimura might be in town for that one.
Yeah, he'll be there in time. He's
I don't know. I think he's moving back there.
Yeah,
and I think he's doing it this week.
Maybe he is. Maybe it's not. Who cares? Thomas is.
Yeah. So that might.
No one gives a shit about Thomas except Thomas.
Well, if he's gonna be playing, it might impact events. I don't know.
I've won 6 4-round regionals this year. I'm hot shit. Blah blah blah. But every Gen Con, you can't find me. I don't know where you can't see me on day 2. I'm playing Pokemon with little Asian girls.
With this tournament, I just remember the 2E early in the year. I picked Johnny. He was highest rated, and I said, Johnny, you can win. And then Rogue won it out of nowhere, so I picked Rogue this time. He'll do it again.
That's true. He did. I was surprised, especially with Rogue coming back to 2E after taking a break. I was surprised that he won that one. But okay, so you're picking Rogue. Like I said, it's one of those play groups where anybody can win. But I'm gonna go with the safe bet here, and I'm gonna pick Johnny for 1E. Johnny Oliva.
I'm picking Johnny too, even though he basically told me to go fuck myself when I invited him on the Discord file. But I'll take Johnny everywhere. Everybody loves Johnny apparently. Johnny.
Hey, I've never met the guy, so.
Neither have I. I don't know. He hates me. I don't know why he hates me. It's a mystery. I mean, I know why a lot of people hate me, but he's the one mystery.
Well, see, he's the art director, so like when people bitch about cards, designers get all up in it, but like every set has art in it, so
I've never,
there's
I've
trying
never,
to swap around, but there's always art in the set, isn't it?
I've never questioned his work or anything. That's why it's not. I mean, I don't know what it is. He just doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't know show business, and apparently, kind of like you, doesn't understand when I post something. Don't take it as the word of God. It's just a Star
So
Trek message
confusing.
board.
All right, so that's 1E. We made our picks for that, and we'll talk about triples real quick. Again, could be anybody. This one I will say Rogue, because I don't know. Dan could win. Anybody could win, really, but I think Dan goes for achievements more often than he goes for trying to win with triples, and so I don't know. I think this one's going to go to Rogue. That's my pick.
I'll switch it and say Dan Hammond, the better half of Section 31.
His better half. Oh, they married Dan and Rogue? I didn't know that. I knew Dan's wife and family was just for show. I knew they were lovers. I'm not shocked at all. Dan.
Why would I do Section 31 every week?
And we all know who the bottom is. But Dan picked me to win to Minnesota, so I have to pick Dan to win triple. It's his game, so I'm going to go with Dan.
All right, sounds good. So we're going to... that's it for the events this weekend.
You can't end the show until you give me your Continentals picks, both of you.
Continentals is a month away. I
don't care if this is Road to Worlds or Regional Rundown. I don't give a shit.
No. I'm going to do a Continental show, and I'll be doing my picks then.
All right, okay.
I'll give you my pick for Australian.
I got work to do.
I'll tell you, I will win 1E Australian Continentals. That's like a 90% right there.
Well, because everyone else playing is in your family. Of course you're going to win it.
Exactly.
And Matthias. It's going to be Matthias and 8 Dylans. Matthias, 8 Dylans. That's the Continentals.
1E I've got sewn up. 2E, I'm not sure, but I'm just going to try a lot harder this year than I have previously because I don't have to play Chris Clark now.
North American, I need to pay more attention. I might actually do some research for that show. I need to see who all is going and do a little work into that. I am not going to Continentals. I was going to, and plans fell through, and I'm not going to be able to make it. So I'm going to be.
Plans fell through equals wife said no.
No. That is not what happened. No. My son is in a play actually that weekend, so I'm staying here and watching his play.
Oh, well, what are you gonna do? Yeah.
He's in Les Mis, so.
Oh man, put a bullet. Oh man, I had to go to a kids choir, 6th grade choir concert. Man, that's a special hell when you got to sit for 2 hours and listen to bad kids sing. That's the problem of being a parent, is that you got to pretend that shitty stuff's not shitty. You got to be like, the kids did a good job. They did it. They were terrible. They stunk.
I try to avoid those kind of shows, but no, like he does live theater and he's actually really good. So, yeah, so that's why I can't make it to that. So because I can't make it to that, I'm going to try extra hard to make sure I make it to Gen Con this year. I made it last year, so I should be able to get there again this year and do Worlds. So, anyway. Yeah, that's about it for this show. John, you're going to be back with us in 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, unless if I'm still alive, if I'm still breathing, never can tell.
So we will see you then. Next week, like I said, we do this every week. We're going to be doing this probably throughout July for Continentals weeks as well. Wednesday nights at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, and if you'd like to be on the show, send me a message at OKCoyote on the forums. Next week, we've got scheduled 2 guests. Charlie Plain will be coming back, and also, first time on the show, Johannes Klarhauser. Finally got Johannes from Germany. Showing up at an insane hour.
It would have been better if next week was the only week without a German regional, when we have a German on.
Well, at least he can tell us why there are so many German regionals.
Because Germany is a really big place.
Apparently it is. I don't know. It's bigger than America. No.
Yeah, they have regionals like they used to have beer halls, and you know what happened in those things back in the day. So
To be fair, because I've been looking up like the different playgroups and their winners, there have been 10 regionals if you count the triples for Germany, in a small area than Germany. So
Yeah.
how long do we have to wait the world for that mustache, the Hitler mustache, to be okay again? How long? Like how many hundreds of years? Like you can't even rock that mustache anymore. Like
I don't know. I think
it's a serious fucking question. God damn it!
you pretty much have to wait for someone to do it that saves like I don't know. I was gonna say a busload of people, but it's gonna be way more than a bus.
Yeah, no, it's gotta be when everybody who was alive after 1950, before 1950 is dead. It has to be like
They
so.
have to do it.
So 2070, you can start rocking the mustache and naming your kids Adolf again, because you can't do that either. You can't name a fucking kid Adolf, and you can't have that mustache. Those are just unacceptable. So 2070, I think that'll be acceptable again. No flying cars, but kids Adolfs with mustaches running around.
Yeah, they'll call that the Renaissance. I don't know.
Not in Germany though. You can't do that. They're never allowed to do that shit again. I'm just talking about everywhere. You're gonna see kids in the
Everywhere
Sudan,
else.
kids in the Sudan having little mustaches and stuff like that.
All right. I'm gonna wrap this up. So
Are you gonna end the show, or are you gonna just keep having me say stupid shit? Because I could do that.
yeah, I'm gonna end this show before you say something even stupider. John, thanks for being on the show.
No, it was great. And Greg, I can't. I'm gonna. Man, you're like my new. Oh man, I love you, man. You're like my little buddy. I'm gonna carry you. You're like my little. You know what you are? You're my little koala bear. You're my message board koala bear. Every time you're there, I'm like, oh, look at him. He's so angry and cute. Because they're nasty little creatures, I heard. So, all right, I'll see you around, my little koala bear.
Extremely.
All right. Thanks again, John. And for Greg Dillon, this is Daniel Madison, ending transmission.